Hey everybody, just wanted to go ahead and give everyone an update here on the 50-gallon cube reef aquarium project. Been out of town for a little while, and prior to leaving I had an unfortunate fish wipeout. Initially I thought maybe it was ick, but then looking back at the symptoms and the quickness of the wipeout of practically all the fish, I believe I actually had a case of marine velvet. So nonetheless, I'm working on setting up a quarantine or a QT tank, and I'm going to go ahead and put anybody that I'm going to add new to the tank, that would be fish, not inverts, but any new fish will go through a quarantine process where they can be observed, treated, and then acclimated into the main tank. It was a little bit of a tragedy. Was real happy with the fish that I had. They were all getting along quite well, but that's how we learn. You'll notice that I still have this yellow wrasse here. It's doing tremendously well. I don't know if it's a carrier, if it's immune, but as they say, once you have disease in the aquarium that uses fish as a host, it is there in the aquarium. So maybe this guy's a little bit more robust than the rest. I have cleaner shrimp, and I got a green clown goby hiding among the rocks and one yellow clown goby, and that's it. So just an update here, mostly on the corals that I've got, how they're doing. I've moved a few items around within the tank. Just added a rock anemone. You'll see right here that I brought in yesterday, and I'll go ahead and zoom in there, get a close-up on that. There we go. And I placed that right at the base of where the rock meets the sand. It went ahead and attached itself, and it seems to be happy. I've read a lot about rock anemones being great additions to reef aquariums, not to be the type of anemones that wander around a lot and get sucked into the pumps or the overflow. So this was just added yesterday evening. So we'll see how this guy does here. Hopefully it's going to be happy there. I do have a fair amount of flow here in the front, but it seems like it's pretty much entrenched. Over here we've got my hammer coral, seems to be doing pretty well. And I come up the rock a little bit, and this is where I've got my Pavonia here, or potato chip coral. It appears to be growing. I was a little concerned because, as folks do notice, the clown gobies like to sit on the SPS corals, and sometimes they can irritate the polyps. It seems to be doing well. This is an ORA coral, and I'm liking that. Over on the side here, somewhere around here, I've got a little frag of encrusting Montipora. It seems to be growing over the frag disc, and hopefully it'll be taking over and growing into the rock surrounding it. Now my Montipora digitata has been moved up. It gets a good flow here, and you can see from the white tips that it seems to be growing and doing well, particularly based upon how it was when I got it. Now I did notice my cleaner shrimp perched on the branches and seemingly picking at the polyps. I did a little bit of research and found that some folks have had experiences with cleaner shrimps eating or harming the polyps of their SPS corals. So I'm going to keep an eye out on that and make sure this guy gets enough food. Moving towards the center, I've got my trumpet or candy cane corals. I really like these guys here. The lower one, 3 heads, is very fluorescent, particularly when the blues come in and my lights, my LED lights. The third head here in the back, it's somewhat obscured. Looks like it's forming a few mouths, so I'm hoping it'll split off and form additional heads. And then I've got the other 7 or 8 head piece behind it. I really like these corals. I'm actually starting to feed them with a pipette, some mysis shrimp, and it's interesting to see how they engorge and surround the food when I do present food to it. Moving over, I moved over my mushroom here. It didn't seem like it liked very much where it was before, where there was more flow. I put it here was a little bit more sheltered, and I'll see how that does. I know they really don't seem to like the higher flow. Down in the center, see if I can get a good view here, is the Zinnia Island. I'm trying to keep this away from the neighboring rocks. I don't want it to start to spread like it can, like a weed. It seems to be doing very well, and the base structures seem to be really fleshing out. So it seems like it's adapting pretty well to the environment. When I do turn the flow off, you can see how the polyps open and close, as Zinnia is known to do. Moving over, here's my Duncan. I've moved it around a few times. It seems like it doesn't like too much flow, so I'm trying to keep it in a location where it likes to be or is happy, you know, with the light and the flow combination. I have also fed this, and it does take the food in and engorge around the food, so I'm seeing if the feedings will also help these items grow. A new addition yesterday that I'm real happy with is this pink goniopora. Very attractive. Right here, it's on a little ball on the edge of a rock. The polyps have opened. It was just added yesterday evening. Seems to be doing well. I'm hoping it'll spread and encrust, cover some of the rocks near to it. My understanding is they do like moderate to decent flow, but lower in the water column or lower in the aquarium water. So we'll see how it does over the days ahead. It does add some color, which is nice when you start to find out that a lot of the corals are bringing in greens and beiges to have the pinkish coloration. And we've got the torch over here on the right. It's got plenty of flow. It expands out regularly. It seems to like it. Sometimes it'll curl up and you retreat into itself. But all the tentacles are spread out right now, and I'm keeping it far enough away. I know the torches really can send out their feeder or stinger tentacles, so I don't want it to disturb anything too close to it. But it seems to be quite happy. I'm liking it as well, and there's nothing as mesmerizing as a well-established, a large torch coral. This is just a small frag, but I'm hoping it'll grow. Then what I do with my star polyps is I move them up. I know how they can dangerously cover everything in their path, so they're up. You can see the edge of them here. Towards the top, I'm hoping that'll kind of cap off the rock structure here. And maybe you can see it a little bit better there. It'll provide like a nice green flowing carpeting towards the top, closer to the light. It's got enough flow, enough light. And I've actually dropped some food into its polyps, and it seems to take the food in as well. So that is my aquarium as it stands right now. I'll be working on the quarantine system. So any new fish I bring in, I'll put them through a quarantine treatment to avoid any wipeouts or meltdowns like I've had recently. It'll probably be a good idea for me to get the yellow wrasse, the clown gobies out and put them through quarantine treatment as well. And let this tank go corals and inverts only for a while and long enough to cause any disease organisms or spores to die off. Hope you enjoyed watching. Be happy to answer any comments you share and leave below, and look forward to providing an update as things evolve. Thanks very much for watching, and be well.